If you're wanting to be with someone long term, there are certain things you can look at a potential partner to make sure if that will be a healthy relationship for you and them both. If that would be sustained throughout time, once this hype over this attraction fades away, once this serves its purpose and the next day comes, will you still be compatible with them? That's the key question for basing a healthy relationship on. There are some frameworks that can help you assess this. And in this episode, that's what we will dive into one by one so you can make the best choices for your love relationships. I am Eden Nesibe, and I have a crazy history of falling in love, hundreds of crushes, multiple soulmates and twin flame stories passing through my life, giving me some valuable insight for me to share with you that can inform your decisions for your life in the way that's most aligned for your life path. So let's go. First, let's separate intoxication with peace, calmness. What we go into love relationships with is usually this sense of intoxication. This like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I'm so hyped up. I can't think of not being with them. And that becomes what drives us into a relationship with them, which is fine. Like any relationship can help us get to what that exchange is meant for in our lives. But building a healthy relationship is a whole different universe, because that is an area where you need to be aware who you are, what you want for your life, and what kind of a person would be in support of that. I'm not talking about someone who would allow you to live your dreams through them. I'm not talking about a savior. But if I'm wanting to travel the world, obviously I cannot be with someone who wants to root down in the same place for 20 years and make a family the minute we get married. You know what I mean? Or vice versa. I need to be aware of what I want and then also be able to check in with the others about who they are, what they are wanting for their life, and where do they see themselves right now. So you can see that relationships is a whole different thing. It's a building ground. It's a long-term project that you need to look at the feasibility of things. One of the most elemental things you can look at while assessing if you want to be with them, commit to them for a lifelong partnership, is the values they hold. Each one of us, our life is governed by our inner values. And of course, the more we know ourselves, the more we are aware of our values that are different than the values that were imposed on us by our family, by our culture. The significant thing that are like our fingerprints, for example, freedom, growth, connection, sensitivity, communication, purpose, work, whatever that is for individuals is very different. We have so many different values and these can change over our time, but then there are the ones that stick along, just change form throughout our growth path. How you can identify your own values is basically looking at what you would not give up on over the other things. There's a whole list of values, and I can put a link in the description for you to look through them to find your top priority values, which will shape your life. The book by Dr. DeMartini can really help you grow into owning up your values, finding, recognizing your own values, separating your life from others' values that actually restrict your life and reduce your life happiness, and really choose to go full in on your own values. From that point, it will be a lot more obvious for you to recognize other people's values as well. what is most precious to them, what is insacrificable for them. And here's the important bit about relationships. When your life values are aligned naturally, that makes a good life partnership. When you have completely different directional values, for example, the highest value for one partner being safety, security, predictability, versus the other is exploration, freedom, that relationship will not really last because they are wanting to go into different directions in life. Yes, they might be intersecting in the same place for a while their values brought them together in that place. But maybe the explorer is just passing through there, while the safety, predictability desiring one wants to root there. As simple as that. Not because they're bad people that are not fit for them. It's just where life wants to take them to is different. And that is very important to take into consideration where you're wanting to choose your life partner, your teammate that you will do things together with. This is something, once you know for yourself, it will be a lot easier for you to communicate with the other person as well and ask their highest values. And if that's a shared ground, you can rest assured that you will want the same things, more or less the same things in life from each other, for each other, not out of a sacrifice for each other, but just as a genuine devotion to what life tells you to do, which through your own intuition. Respect others' wishes and rights and choices from a place of really being attuned into those same principles, same values. That makes a whole lot difference compared to where the partners are in a constant game of having to compromise, having to find a common ground of needs, desires, driven by values that are completely on different directions. Another thing you can know about yourself and communicate with your partner is very basically your love language. You might have already heard about this, the 5 love languages that are most common among all people, which are expressing your love via touch and receiving love, perceiving love via touch. Second is gifts, giving gifts, wanting to receive gifts as an expression of love. Third is expressions of affirmation, like I love you, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you've done that great. These kind of words of affirmation to express our love and to feel that we're loved. Fourth is quality time, which is a major one for me, which is letting everything aside and just spending the time to be with each other, be present with each other, hear each other, ask each other how you are, and go into worlds together. This is different than just like spending time together all the time, but not in a quality way, like being on your phone or being distracted with other activities that you're not really engaged with each other. Acts of service is the fifth one. And this is doing something for the other, even just like house chores or a cake or something they need, fixing something they need help with, anything that you spend your time and effort to help them, you give service to them, and in return want to receive love via this act of service. These 5 things is this very important to know about yourself, because when the two partners don't really share the same love language, a lot of love can get lost in translation. And we don't really enjoy when the love we express isn't being received by the other, or the way they express their love isn't meeting our need of feeling loved. So there can be a lot of dissatisfaction in a togetherness, because even though you know how to translate others' language to yours, okay, he's giving me service now, that's his way of like loving me, that still won't be satisfying your need for quality time, for example, if that's not what they're offering to you. And that's like a hard compromise for them to do. It's not natural for them to do. It will be on the long term a constant trying to get it unless you find a way to really tap into each other's love language. It's not necessary that you have the same love language, but it is very necessary for you to know it and communicate it so you can translate it and receive it and have it reach the other. And of course, if you do have the shared love languages, it will just make your life happy and easy by itself, because then you don't need constant translation. This is very subconscious, very emotional level reaction we have to these. So like we can translate it. We can mentally think that, yeah, they are giving me gifts. This is how they express their love. Or they say they love me. This is how they express their love. But it's mental. It doesn't really sink in as deep as someone touching you. If your love language is touch, it doesn't reach the emotional hunger in you. And that's the key thing. We have our love languages heavily influenced by our parental figures. And the type of language we didn't receive at all, or the one that we received the most, is likely to shape our love languages. So if you didn't receive touch from your primary caregiver, you might hunger for touch, and that might be your love language. You get the point. What else? Well, not all of you believe in astrology, I know, but astrology basically is showing us a map of what influences were we born under, which creates a inclination for us to be that way. And it is very helpful for someone to really discover themselves deeply. Not like, okay, my sign is Aries, that I'm like this and that in all the areas of life. No, a full astrological birth chart reflects how you are on different areas of your life. For example, how you are about your emotions, how you are about your relationships, particularly your moon sign and your Venus sign will tell you a lot about what you desire, need, or look for in relationships. And when these very deep psychic, spiritual even needs, aspects of ourselves are met by the nature of another person, it really is a game changer. Because essentially, you don't have to make someone act in a way that is different for them. You know that, okay, I actually like people who are calm and still and can express their truth fully. That's what I'm drawn to. Then you just go out for that people. Yes, we obviously are drawn to those people anyway. But when you have the knowledge about it, you have more capacity of choosing from an informed place. And again, this is not necessary that you are very compatible on your birth charts. You can make anything work. Any relationship can work with the necessary amount of effort and dedication to it. But if you have this natural compatibility, like me as a person, for example, would be unbearable for so many people, but I'm perfect for my husband and vice versa. That I was celebrating all the women who missed their chance with him when I finally found him. But obviously, I can see how he's not the ideal figure for so many other people. And so am I. That's the thing about compatibility, like the puzzle pieces coming together in a way that fits more or less perfectly. And coming back to astrology, and this can be like the Western astrology, the Vedic astrology, the human design, whatever you feel called to refer to, they all have very good indicators about who you are to help you self-reflect about what you're subconsciously looking for in life. That will make it easier for you to see and say, well, yes, this person's nature is what my nature is looking for. This is not a transitionary thing at this phase of my life. So yes, I can be with them long term because this will not really change about me or them. Another thing that is important to communicate with a potential partner is their stage of life. And this is something that you can more or less evaluate as well, because they might not really be aware of the stage of their life. And what do I mean by the stage? In the 5th episode of this journey, we went into different layers of human existence, the different chakras, and the needs and presence that is available on those levels of the person. This comes with maturity. The heart level attraction, connection does not open until you as a person are grown into that level of yourself. The throat level, like seeing, hearing deeply, the third eye level, the vision, your spirituality, your specific hue of how your spirit embodies and expresses itself in this world. These do not mature so early in our lives. So when you connect with someone and decide to go into a life partnership with someone at a stage of their life where they're just like looking for an emotional companion that they can share their excitements with, well, a few years later, when you grow into your next level, or if you're already grown into your next level, it will just be exhausting to not be satisfied on those higher levels of your plane. So it is very important to see their maturity level. And even without the knowledge of like, okay, what chakra am I connecting to them from? Like you can see sometimes you have explored, experienced so much things in your life. I have, like since I was 20, living actively in life. So coming to understanding, decision about so many things, exploring polyamory, drugs, traveling, everything, and then coming to like, okay, no, this is what I choose for myself at a quite young age. So it is not about the age, but then that can result in your peers, your same age group, not really being in the same level that you are, which have a specific, significant needs you have, desires you have from a partnership, from a companionship. So they might just be needing to taste all these different kinds of things and not ready to really like settle down and choose a partner yet. And that is very healthy for them because they're at that stage of their life. That's not wrong. It's just very important for you to be able to see that and discern that. Like, okay, this guy is amazing, but they need to explore life a little bit more so that they can find peace and the stillness and the togetherness. It has to be a choice for them, not a FOMO to get into this relationship. Oh, if they're not in this relationship now, they will miss out on being with me. Yes, but their exploration needs haven't been met yet. They need to make mistakes, go do all of those things that I, for my life and for my partner, don't want. When we are not aware of this, we can incline to try to change them from a place of like, be what I need you to be, but it's not realistic. If you take one step back, you will realize you already know that they are not there yet. Like that's like wanting a pine tree to already be giving its fruits while it has just been planted yet and its lovely leaves are coming out now, but you can't yell it into giving you mature pineapples. An intoxication, a hype about someone can draw you into like exploring different qualities, getting to know more things about yourself, learning life lessons. Building a partnership that would support your life direction, would create a satisfying, fulfilling life, is an inner effort as well as an outer effort. Inner effort because you need to ask these questions to yourself. You need to go through all the exploration to know the answers to these and then be able to bridge between two beings. Be open about them. Now, like, this is what I want for my life. Where are you at? And not save that conversation for 3 years later, hoping that they will want the same things with you, but never having have communicated it or really got the affirmation for it while walking down that path. Obviously, communication, open communication about your feelings, desires, deep emotional and spiritual truth is a must for such a relationship. Yes, the old paradigm relationships don't really look like this, but that's why all of them are failing. And if we're wanting to go into a new world, a new way of being, well, this is the direction to go with. Intentionality. Choosing the relationship you want to be in, that you can be in. Once you know what you want from life, if let's say you want to have children, then you can know and you meet someone who doesn't want to bring souls into this world because they find it painful to even be here. Well, then you know they're not really going to be meeting your need in that area. And you can hope that they will change. They might change. But don't you owe it to yourself and them to have this openly communicated and be the basis of that decision? And if you're going to go into down that road with them still, hoping they might change or hoping that it might be okay anyway, isn't that better that you went in there knowingly that actually that wasn't their truth and also possibly it will never be their truth? The more you are honest, radically, brutally honest to yourself about these. And I know that is not easy because we don't want to miss out on opportunities. And in order to not miss out on those connections that might be so rare, we fool ourselves. We tell ourselves pink fairy tales because we want to believe it so we can have the connection. Otherwise, we would walk out of that connection. We would have to if we were brutally honest to ourselves. And that's why we want to avoid it. I know so many people pass through this, but there is a better way at the end of the tunnel. If you go through the dark, accept letting go of the things that are not compatible with you and your desires, choosing away from things that are not aligned with you, that really requires faith, trust in the divine, in the life, in your own desires, in your own self-worth. And I know it's a challenge, but would you be hearing this right now if it wasn't meant for you to hear this? If it was irrelevant from your story? Do you really think this would come to find you and I would be looking into your eyes without even knowing you yet? That life would show this face who has experienced this and saying, well, there is that place for you. Just a little thought. So yeah, ideally, for long-term relationships, we want a nervous system regulating kind of connection, not something that constantly is triggering us into having to deal with our wounds. And of course, all relationships will do that, even the safest ones. And the best thing about two people who can hold themselves is that they can also hold each other through all of those emotions. And that's what we need in a companionship on this earth. Some of us as souls who want our soul companion to do our soul mission on this world in the best way possible. For example, in my relationship, in my marriage, the shared values that are the highest are our own soul journey. That comes before anything else. That we know we would support each other in choosing our soul purpose over anything with being with each other. Freedom, growth, these are shared values. So that when we're pushing each other into uncomfortable places that generates growth, we are not resentful to each other, but we are appreciating that opportunity to grow. And we respect each other's freedom to not be with each other in that moment and follow whatever they're called to do, because we take that as one of the most precious things of life. Would that relationship really be flowing as fluently and healthily if these values weren't shared. If it would have to be like, okay, I don't really understand you, but I will respect you this time and another time, and now it's getting too much. You know what I mean? When there are people who want the exact same things as you, why not just go with them? And of course, like, attraction works in the ways that it does, and there are soul contracts, and you can't just make yourself want anyone just because they put marks in a checkbox. But then there's also that space that attraction is present together with compatibility, so that it can be a choice with the fullness of you, not just from your wounds, not from a temporary admiration and a quality that you want to bring out in your life, but something that both has those and then also a potential to be a teammate to each other, to be a playmate to each other, a constant support that makes life easier for each other rather than harder and more challenging and with more drama and holding back. And where there's intoxication, usually these things can also be very much present. So, who are you calm with? Not, oh my God, I can't think about anything else but them. But wow, like I'm very full and whole and complete with myself already. Because you have done that work, because you go towards yourself, to love yourself, to include yourself, that those needs of yours are already met by you and you're not starving for someone else to feed those needs for you. When you already have that, well, then you can share with someone that state of being that you're already in. And it will just exponentially expand that for both of you guys. So I hope this helps in you entering into relationships from a place of freedom and choice, knowing who you are, what your needs are, what your love languages are, what your values are, what level of maturity and life stage you are at, and then comparing these to the person in question, the candidate for your partnership, and seeing if these match. This is a reasonable way of deciding to go into a relationship. And that's the thing. You don't only have to go into a relationship out of emotional pull. You can bring both your emotions and your mind into it to make a conscious choice for your life if that's what you're intending to do with this relationship. More on relationship basics, how you can sustain relationships, how you can have open communication. These will be part of new videos, but make sure you bring in your questions in the comments and they will be answered via videos, via just text. If you need help with figuring these out for yourself, with moving through blockages that prevent you from being able to communicate these, find these in people, if you just constantly get into the same kind of relationship and don't seem to be finding the reason why, there are hundreds of facilitators, shadow workers, healers. I am one of them. I am available if you want to work with them with me. You can help yourself via my course Realignment with Love. And just know that there are endless possibilities, opportunities for you to change things, make things different. And if you're hearing this now, that's not a coincidence.